Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood of Illinois Near North Health Center. For English, press 1. Para escuchar For appointments or questions about your care, press 1. For family planning, STI, and gender-affirming care appointments, please press 1. For abortion appointments, please press 2. If you are a current Planned Parenthood patient and have concerns...
Wait, there's no other option?
Welcome to Pro-Life Without Borders.
This is Sarah and Michaela, and what you just heard is a live phone call with Sarah and Planned Parenthood Chicago, which is really interesting. So we are talking about how Planned Parenthood in Pennsylvania has been falsely advertising that they offer prenatal care when they do not. And so we're like, what happens if you call a different Planned Parenthood? What did they say? And I just had the most bizarre conversation with a pregnancy center, with Planned Parenthood in Chicago. First, they were like, you have to come in for an ultrasound. And I'm like, asking like, well, where do you offer prenatal care and what do you offer? And well, you have to come in for an ultrasound. Well, you have to come in for an ultrasound. Okay. You can't tell me over the phone what you do. And then finally I got her to tell me which locations offer prenatal care. And then but they don't, this is weird because this is not prenatal care. They do 3 appointments. They only do them up to 36 weeks. And they do not do glucose testing, other testing, gender identifying ultrasound. Like there's a whole list of things they don't do, i.e. they don't do prenatal care.
Yeah. And 3 appointments. I mean, I've never been pregnant, so.
Well, and I've been pregnant like 14 bazillion times. But yeah, 3 appointments is like, that's 3 months worth of appointments, but also they're not doing any testing. And so the thing is, okay, so that's not prenatal care. Maybe it's identification that you're pregnant. Maybe it's an assessment. Maybe it's referrals. Okay, so like if someone called the center and they said, hey, I'm pregnant, I need prenatal care, we're not going to say, oh, we do prenatal care, but only the first appointment.
Yeah.
We're going to say we don't do prenatal care, but what we do is we'll confirm your pregnancy, we'll date you with an ultrasound, and we'll get you referrals. Like that's how we would respond, which would be the sort of honest way of responding. Not, oh yeah, we do prenatal care, but only 3 appointments, and we don't do anything that's actually prenatal care.
I'm like so baffled. Okay. So just let's.
And I just picked Chicago out of the hat. Like there's no reason I picked Chicago. I just picked Chicago.
I was like, let's walk it back. I do think I'm actually just gonna leave that be the opening. Like just
me talking to Planned Parenthood. We have to make sure that like it's actually legal to record and like post a recording.
Yeah, I need to double check on that. Pennsylvania, it's iffy, but okay. What we're here to talk about is the fact that there are multiple Planned Parenthood centers in Pennsylvania that have been found to be participating in what the Pennsylvania Family Institute is just very politely calling false advertising.
PFI is polite.
They're so polite.
They're so polite.
They're lying, and they're like, it's false advertising.
They lying. They telling lies.
9th commandment violation.
That's how they should have titled the article. 9th commandment violation.
That's going to be the name of the podcast episode. It's just Planned Parenthood and the 9th commandment.
And the 9th commandment, and how they do not get along.
So,
did you ever watch the top 10 when you were a kid?
No.
There was like a little tiger, and they went through like all the 10 commandments, and they danced and sang, and they like sang about all the different commandments, and then like the little animals would like break the commandments, and it was a very weird way. It was a very weird way to learn about the 10 commandments. I don't remember what it was called.
But this is coming out from the Pennsylvania Family Institute. So they've conducted a new review of Planned Parenthood's advertising practices and found that multiple Planned Parenthood locations across the Commonwealth are advertising prenatal and postpartum services on their websites, yet none of the listed clinics actually offer prenatal care.
Mm-hmm.
So, calls made directly to Planned Parenthood locations that claim to offer such services confirmed the truth. Not one Planned Parenthood in Pennsylvania provides any prenatal care.
Well, and I would say that the Chicago ones aren't really carrying the torch either. If they're calling prenatal care 3 visits and it doesn't involve any testing.
And so PFI actually has receipts, as they usually do. They've got screenshots from 8 Planned Parenthood websites across Pennsylvania that show what they're calling misleading listings. These are just outright lies, but that's so nice, PFI. So they're listing prenatal and postpartum services. So we've got York Health Center in York. We've got Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre. You can't Wilkes-Barre. Wilkes-Barre.
Sorry, I don't Wilkes-Barre. Whatever. I'm not from Eastern Pennsylvania.
We have a lot of weird names out there.
Harrisburg, Bensalem.
It's definitely Bensalem.
Bensalem.
What's the next?
Harrisburg Abortion Services, Allentown. So a bunch of these locations have prenatal and postpartum services listed under services offered.
Now, does it say prenatal care or does it say prenatal services?
It says prenatal and postpartum services.
Okay, so most people will interpret that to be prenatal care, but I wonder if that's how they're getting around it.
So it says Planned Parenthood Keystone's call center, which manages scheduling for several of these locations, confirmed that none of its clinics offer prenatal care. Similar confirmation was obtained from the Pittsburgh-based affiliate Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania. And so then PFI goes on, and this is what I'm reading from is directly off of Pennsylvania Family Institute's website. So this is their review that they've done, and this just came out yesterday. So I think they did a similar thing in 2017. They were looking at advertising practices, and so this is following up with that, 7 years later. And then they go on to mention Governor Shapiro, our favorite governor, and all of
our favorite current governor of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, just a treat. In a widely circulated post on X, formerly Twitter, Governor Shapiro claims that defunding Planned Parenthood would deny Pennsylvania's access to essential life-saving care such as prenatal and postpartum care. Yet, as our direct investigation confirms, not a single Planned Parenthood clinic in Pennsylvania actually offers prenatal care. The governor's statement isn't just misleading, it's demonstrably false. Either he's unaware of the facts or he's deliberately repeating a narrative that gives political cover to an abortion provider that continues to misrepresent its services to the public. And they go on to say this isn't the first time Planned Parenthood's been caught misleading the public. In 2017, PFI exposed that all 27 Planned Parenthood locations in the state were listing prenatal care as a service online, despite none actually offering it. Following the exposure and media attention in 2017, Planned Parenthood quietly removed the listings from their appointments page. However, now 8 years later, they appear to be back.
So
PFI statement, this is from Dan at PFI.
Dan Barkowiak.
Yes, chief strategist, it seems. I went to Chick-fil-A with Dan one time when I was in Harrisburg. It was great.
He is great.
He says this isn't just sloppy marketing, it's bait and switch. Which is so true.
Well, and I think it's really interesting how they're conflating prenatal services and prenatal care because they're not the same thing. Right?
Well, and he also says, and I don't know if this is PFI conflating those two, but PFI says we called their facilities directly. Contrary to their advertising, not one Planned Parenthood in Pennsylvania offers prenatal services. 0.
But would they claim that abortion is a prenatal service?
Maybe.
Right. And so that's the
Exactly, because
thing.
she
And this
says
is,
it's clear Planned Parenthood's business model isn't about supporting women, it's about selling
oh,
abortions.
that's 100%. Like, yeah, I mean, I can
Yeah.
get behind that. I'm just wondering how Planned Parenthood kind of justifies it. And I wonder if that's it. If they're like, oh, yeah, we do pregnancy testing, we do abortions, that's prenatal services. Like, what are you talking about? Like, even the one that I talked to in Chicago, they have this weird, we do 3 appointments and none of it is really testing and none of it is really prenatal care, but we're going to call it, like, I'm asking for prenatal care and they're telling me they're going to do these 3 appointments up to 36 weeks, but it's not pre. And I'm thinking, like, one of the things that we work at as a pregnancy center, we work really hard at, is making sure that our clients understand that what we do does not replace their relationship and services with their OB.
Right. We're not OBs. We're
Right.
very clear about that.
Yes, we're extremely clear that what we do is we confirm pregnancy, we date pregnancy, we offer referrals, we offer like all sorts of other things, prenatal vitamins, whatever. But like, you can't leave here and be like, oh, I'm good, I don't need to see anyone, I can just go have the baby at the hospital whenever I start going into labor. Like, we're really clear about that. And we would never put this kind of stuff on our website because it is unclear, especially for women who have never been pregnant before.
Right.
So
Like,
when
if
I
you
was
don't
on the
know.
phone with our friends from Illinois, and I was like, was that all I need? She really couldn't answer me. So if I had never had a child before, maybe 3 appointments is all you need. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I have no idea. And I consider myself relatively educated and competent. I've got no idea what prenatal appointments are supposed to look like. Like, do you go every month? Do you go every 2 weeks? I know that they ramp up once you're in your 3rd trimester. Like, I don't know. 3 appointments sounds good to me. I go to the doctor once every like 3 years.
I go to the doctor if something has fallen off or is
Yeah,
like
honestly,
throbbing.
if there's a problem, I
3
go.
appointments in
So
9 months actually seems somewhat excessive.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, and to say that they go up to 36 weeks, that doesn't make any sense either. Like, what exactly are you going to do at 36 weeks? Like, we would never intentionally see a client after pretty much after the 1st trimester. Now,
Right.
have clients have come in and they think they're in the 1st trimester and they end up being in their 2nd or even 3rd trimester. But once they're in their 2nd trimester, we're like, no, you need to start with your OB. Like, this is not, let's diagnose the pregnancy, let's talk about whatever. Like, this is a different situation. And so to say,
Right.
like,
And
oh, we'll
that's,
go up to 36 weeks, that's wild to me.
yeah. And that's what PFI, they kind of end this statement with, pregnant women searching for genuine prenatal care may be misled into thinking these facilities offer the support they need. Instead, they're being referred elsewhere, which is what Illinois told you, that you were going to have to go somewhere else, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like that they would refer you out somewhere else.
After I come in for my ultrasound, and presumably some
Ultrasound.
pressure to have an abortion would be my guess.
Which is interesting because I've heard pro-choice people come after pregnancy centers for pushing the ultrasound.
Right. Well, and not being clear about their services. If you call us, we're clear about our services and we tell people what we do.
Interesting that that's what they decided to do. But anyway, and so they said, or worse, funneled toward abortion services under the false premise of prenatal care. Lawmakers and the public deserve transparency, especially from organizations receiving millions in taxpayer funding. Repeated deception should prompt serious scrutiny of Planned Parenthood's operation and public claims.
Well, and I think I see all the time, like even just on social media, like, oh, if we get rid of Planned Parenthood, where are women going to get their prenatal care? Well, probably the same place they're getting it now because they're not getting it at Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. Like at best, like the best case scenario, it sounds like, is that Planned Parenthood would refer you to somewhere else. And I kind of suspect that they're not going to do that without pushing abortion services first.
So unfortunately, Pennsylvania's laws state that we cannot include the conversation that I had with Chicago Planned Parenthood, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And we have,
I'm pretty sure we have to have permission. Like, you can record videos without getting permission in Pennsylvania, but you have to have permission to record audio.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania is a 2-party consent state. And so we can't share the actual conversation, but we have talked a little bit about it and we can share a little bit more about how the conversation went. So basically, I don't really want to call a Planned Parenthood in Pennsylvania because they're definitely on alert right now. Yes. Like they're probably getting a lot of like shopping kind of like checking kind of calls.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are.
Oh, yeah. So I call Planned Parenthood in Chicago. And of course, I'm calling with a Pennsylvania number. And I'm like, hey, I just moved to the area and, I'm pregnant and I need prenatal care. And it was a really weird runaround because the first thing that the woman on the phone tried to get me to do was schedule an ultrasound.
Well, actually, let's back up. You didn't get a person when you called.
No.
You got a robotic answer.
Yeah, I got like a...
Hey, like if you need STD, what was it? It was like STD services.
And gender affirming services was first, and then abortion was second, and then there was
Yep.
no other option. There was no other
that's
option.
it.
So it was like it was gender affirming care and STD testing, and then abortion, and then if you're a current client, press 3. And I was waiting for like what 4 is. There is no 4. And so I pressed 2, which was the abortion one. And I got someone very polite. And I'm like, hey, new to the area, like I need prenatal care. And she's like, oh, you have to come in for an ultrasound. And I'm like, well, do you do prenatal care? Well, you have to come in for an ultrasound. Okay, do you do prenatal care? Not every location does prenatal care. And I'm like, okay, which locations do prenatal care? Well, this one and this one. And I'm like, okay, I'll have to map that out, but what kind of prenatal care do you offer? And then she tells me that it starts at 8 weeks. Now, these answers are really weird because she's not elaborating. Like I'm obviously asking a lot of questions, and she's not elaborating. She's basically giving an answer and then stop. It starts at 8 weeks. Okay. When does it end? Well, there's 3 appointments. Okay. Is that all I need? Is 3 appointments? Like it was just very strange. I felt like I was like pulling information out of her. And then she finally tells me that you get 3 appointments from 8 to 36 weeks, which is not how many appointments you're supposed to have. You're supposed to be seen basically once a month for the first 2 trimesters, and then like twice a month, and then once a week, unless you have any risk factors. And then she tells me that they don't do gender, like they don't do ultrasounds to identify gender. They don't do the glucose test. They don't do other lab work, which leaves me wondering what they do. And the thing is,
give you some prenatal vitamins and send you on your way.
Right. And the thing is, like, that's not necessarily a bad service. Like, if all they're doing is coming and they do an ultrasound and they say, okay, you're pregnant and this is how far along you are, and here's a list of OBs, that would be fine, but be upfront about it because that's not prenatal care.
No, that's the bare minimum of just telling a person their situation.
Right. And so be upfront about it. Like, no, we don't do prenatal care, but you can come in and you can get an ultrasound and you can whatever. And we'll refer you out. And that's not what I was told. I was told prenatal care, 3 appointments between 8 and 36 weeks, but none of this lab work is done. And the thing is, I'm me. I run a pregnancy center. I have 6 kids. I know what prenatal care is and I know how to get it. If you're 18 years old and you've been told your whole life that Planned Parenthood is around providing prenatal care, and you call and they say, yeah, we do prenatal care. We do 3 appointments up till 36 weeks. Okay. I'm good. No glucose test. No, because if they're not doing an ultrasound for gender, they're not doing an ultrasound for anatomy either. So no anatomy scan, no lab work. What happens when she's 36 weeks and she's essentially not gotten prenatal care? She hasn't been checked for gestational diabetes. What then? She just walk into a hospital and deliver? It's just frustrating. It's frustrating how many people in the general public think that Planned Parenthood is providing all these amazing services for free. They're not. And she said that on the phone too, that it would be cheap.
Yeah.
She didn't say free. And they don't do what they say they do. And at least what they let people believe that they do, which is problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had conversations with people about this because this is, like PFI said, this is not the first time that Planned Parenthood has been caught, at the very least, misleading people, if not outright telling falsehoods. And people are like, well, how do you expect Planned Parenthood to provide these services when you're defunding them?
They weren't doing it before.
They weren't doing it before.
Yeah.
Like Planned Parenthood they've got tons of money. They're not suffering for money. And of course, like right now, at least at the time of recording, the whole big, beautiful budget bill. I can't keep track of what we're calling these things.
I think it's called the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. And like that was going to defund Planned Parenthood, and it's been overruled by another judge. So there's
not the whole thing. Like only part of it has been overruled.
No, it's the Medicaid part, right? Like
yeah.
My point being is that a lot of this funding stuff is a bit up in the air right now. So it's not like, oh, Planned Parenthood suddenly lost billions of dollars of funding. And they haven't been doing it. This was a problem in 2017. Like, this is not a 2025 problem. It's just been going on.
Well, and Planned
And
Parenthood spends an awful lot of time fundraising to also bill Medicaid, to also charge people.
yes, that's the thing, is it's like they're charging people, you know, it's not free. Sure, maybe it's cheap. I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe I'm just super cheap.
I mean, I am really cheap, but I know that it's not $5 to go and get a pregnancy test.
No, no. And yeah, and then they're billing Medicaid and they're doing all of this fundraising, and there just seems to be a lot of money tied up in Planned Parenthood, and they're listing services that they're not offering, is what it comes down to. And like I don't know. I just know if I were if I were a person, I am in fact a person.
I feel like if you've disassociated to the point today where you're no longer convinced of your own personhood, that you may need to be done and go home. And I say that as your friend and your boss.
I was like, it is getting there. I think we're both kind of like reaching the point of like, am I real?
We're about to get into philosophy up in here, and it is not going to be pretty. It's not. Okay, so this has nothing to do with Planned Parenthood, but when I was in college, did you have Keith Martell?
So I did not have Dr. Martell.
Okay. He's super fun.
Yes, I've had friends who had Dr. Martell. He was the preferred professor for the class that he taught.
Yes. So I had him, and he's a philosophy professor, right? Like that's his thing. And I remember asking him, I'm like, how do philosophers eat? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, how do they eat? How do they buy food? How do they like pay for things? He's like, well, they teach. And I'm like, so you teach other people things that they can't use to provide for themselves? And he was just like, yeah.
It's so true. As someone with philosophy degrees.
He's great, though.
Yeah. See, now you've derailed me. I had a point.
You did have a point. I'm sorry. We were talking about philosophy and questioning our own personhood.
Yeah, but before that, I was talking about like Planned Parenthood's funding and the fact that they're just outright telling lies on the internet. And I was saying, you know, if I were a person who was donating my hard-earned cash to Planned Parenthood, which I am not, but if I, you know, because there's so much fundraising campaigns, I do get emails from Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania.
We get mail sometimes.
Yeah, just because I like want to keep my eye on them, you know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So I like to get mail from them. And I mean,
it costs them money too.
Yeah, there's so much push for fundraising. If I were donating money to them and I found out that they weren't offering the services that they told me my money was offering, we would have a problem. And I can't imagine like us as a pregnancy center taking people's money, you know, our donors give sacrificially, and saying that it's being used for services that we don't offer.
Right.
We don't offer prenatal services here. We can talk about the importance of it. We can give information. We can give referrals, but like we don't offer prenatal services.
Okay. So this is where I'm struggling a little, because we technically do. We don't offer the full spectrum of prenatal care. We would never say that we take someone from pregnancy to birth and postpartum, but we technically offer prenatal services. Not that we would advertise them that way, because I think that that's a really kind of a shoddy way of describing it, because it does sound like prenatal care. But I think that's probably how Planned Parenthood is getting around it.
Yeah, well, it's deceptive, and I would have a problem if we advertised that we did when we don't, which is why we don't advertise.
Yeah, so we're really descriptive about what we do. Like if someone schedules, they're scheduling for a pregnancy test, they're scheduling for an ultrasound, they're scheduling for an STD test. Like we're not having this weird bucket of like, come in for prenatal services and get what you need. Like it's very specific. They know exactly what the appointment is going to look like before they come in. And if we do end up offering like a mid-pregnancy appointment or a postpartum appointment, then that's what we would call them. Like we wouldn't call it like, oh, come in for your prenatal services. We would say like, oh, you can come for your like a diagnosis of pregnancy and then a mid-pregnancy check-in. Like that would be it. And we have them sign, like, when upon leaving, like, that they understand that it's not replacing their care from their OB.
Yeah. I just know as a donor, I would be upset
Right.
if I was donating money and if the narrative was women aren't going to get prenatal care without it, and then it turns out that we're not even offering prenatal care. And even worse, we're saying that we offer prenatal services and people think it's prenatal care and we're not really correcting them. And if people
Offering
come
them
at
free
us, we're going to be
appointments.
like, well, it's semantics. We said care, not like get a
Right.
grip.
Well, and it really comes down to what does the patient or the client think? What are they being led to think, or what are they being allowed to think? And I mean, based on one phone call, it doesn't sound like they're being super straightforward and super honest about the limitations of this prenatal whatever.
It's giving fake clinic, if we're being perfectly honest.
I don't like
Someone
it.
should report them to the Attorney General's office.
Not in Illinois. I'm sure they don't. We need a form. Let's get a
Yeah,
form.
that's what I was like, let's go. Obviously, don't go vandalize Planned Parenthood with stickers for the Attorney General's office, but
No, we
but
do
that's
not
where
support vandalism of any type.
no, but that it's so frustrating because that's what they did. That's what Pennsylvania did to pregnancy centers. And we have friends who've had their pregnancy centers outright vandalized with information about reporting quote fake clinics to the Attorney General's office. Who's reporting Planned Parenthood other than PFI?
Poor PFI. They're doing their best, man.
Poor PFI is doing the best they can, and because I mean, there's no way, obviously, that this is okay.
It's frustrating. It's really frustrating when you know what Planned Parenthood does, abortion and gender affirming care, and they're making a ton of money doing that. And then, but the way that they bill themselves to the general community is all these services that they really don't provide.
Yeah.
And then also claiming that they give it away for free, or letting people believe that they give it away for free when they don't. And any cost, it's not wrong to charge for services. Like, I'm not saying it is, but like, be upfront about it. Like, don't go around talking about all this great free stuff that you do when you don't actually do the free stuff.
Yeah. So if a woman was pregnant and was seeking prenatal care, what would your recommendation be, assuming that this person is, a demographic, a psychographic that Planned Parenthood would be interested in serving?
Well, don't go
Because I
there.
think, well, yeah, I was like, first and foremost,
So I would tell
perhaps
people,
don't
like,
go to the world's leading abortion provider for your prenatal care.
so the first thing you should do, if you're new to an area, if you've never been pregnant before, if you don't have health insurance, if you're not sure where to go, like, if you have any level of uncertainty, go to a pregnancy center.
Mm-hmm.
Get your pregnancy confirmed, get your ultrasound, get your prenatal vitamins, find out about resources in your community, and get a list of providers that will provide actual genuine prenatal care. And they can give that to you. They can give you a list of midwives, doctors. You can talk about like what your values are. What kind do you want to deliver in a hospital? Do you want to deliver at a birthing center? Do you want to deliver at home? And they can talk you through like the safety of each of those things, and the availability of each of those things, and then like what your options are, and those sorts of things. And then you can contact those individuals from that referral list and let them know, like, hey, I'm pregnant. I went to the pregnancy center. This is exactly how far along I am, and I need to enroll in prenatal care. And then they'll get you set up from there. It's not 3 appointments. So most of the time you're going to see your provider between 8 and 12 weeks for the first time, which is part of why pregnancy centers are super important, because a lot of brain development, a lot of fetal development is really begun in the first trimester. And sometimes you don't see a provider until you're almost in your second trimester. So the pregnancy center is going to help you first, know how far along you are, which is huge, but also talk about the risks of things like smoking, drinking, drugs, how to eat healthy, how to wear your seatbelt, like those kind of things. And then your OB will pick up from there. And after you have your baby, now most pregnancy centers provide parenting classes, which are not prenatal care, but parenting classes, pregnancy classes throughout your pregnancy. And then some will even do like postpartum depression screening, and then do referrals for services as necessary after that. And your OB should also be doing those kinds of screenings, and they'll do those screenings at the hospital to kind of check in on you and make sure everything's okay. So even if you're in a community where it's harder to access prenatal care, still don't go to Planned Parenthood. Like, they're not really going to help you. 3 appointments in 36 weeks or however many is not enough appointments. And if you're being seen and you're getting this supposed prenatal service and it's not actually giving you what you need, it's not giving you a glucose test, it's not giving you an ultrasound for anatomy, you're actually harming yourself more than you're helping yourself, because you could potentially miss things and you think, oh, well, I had an ultrasound, or I had all the stuff, I went to these appointments and they told me I was fine. And that's not good. That's really just not good for women.
Yeah. Jeez. I'm annoyed.
It's really frustrating. And I think I see it from a marketing perspective. I see them saying prenatal services versus prenatal care. I still don't like it. And I really don't like that Josh Shapiro is clearly saying pre and postnatal care. Like, he's not mincing words.
And so I don't know if our governor is just ignorant or if he's being genuinely deceptive.
I can't imagine that he doesn't. Probably. I can't imagine that he doesn't know. Like, how do you not know?
I don't know.
And I think it's the biggest frustration for me is the average person that thinks that Planned Parenthood is just doing all these amazing things for women.
Yeah.
And they're not. And I would be interested in whether or not there's a legal definition for prenatal services and what that would actually have to cover. Because it's not a phrase that we would use. And so what does that mean from, like, if we're actually talking about a deceptive advertising, like, well, you're the marketing person. What is that? Like, how do you find the definition for these things?
I mean, a lot of it really depends on the industry. And I don't know, because we're talking medical terms here, like what that would look like. But I know that a lot of things is kind of based off of industry standards, so like, and you saw that, like, this is so completely unrelated, but it is kind of related. There was a shift in terminology regarding raincoats. And so you'll see, I know, and you're like, what in the world? Because a lot of
I have a feeling this was like a 2 a.m. rabbit hole that you went down.
Well, because I had a hard time finding a raincoat that's waterproof.
And you found a water resistant one.
They're all water resistant. And it used to be that things were advertised as waterproof. And these days, like, you're hard pressed to find something that claims to be waterproof. You're going to see water resistant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but if you're not really thinking about it, or on a 2 a.m. rabbit hole, like, are you going to assume that the raincoat that you purchase is waterproof?
It's going to be fine till you go to Ireland.
And you end up soaking wet through your raincoat that you find out is water resistant. And technically not even that.
It's just leaking slowly. I found that out because when I went biking in Allentown through the transient communities, I borrowed Eli's raincoat, which is the stage of life I'm at where I now borrow my teenage son's, like, gear to go do stuff. And I was completely soaked by the end of it. Like, it wasn't even trying. It was not even trying. And I just assumed, it must not really be waterproof. Maybe nothing is waterproof.
So I'm curious, like, if there's been some sort of shift, was there a shift from prenatal care to prenatal services? Planned Parenthood is very smart for a bunch of ignorant people, but I can't fathom that they are not aware of the difference. And so I don't know legally how that would be defined, because it's medical stuff.
Interesting.
But I do think that there's precedent for not correcting people who make assumptions based off of your advertising. And I could go and dig multiple cases up of, companies that perhaps they would say they weren't trying to be deceptive. And if people came to that conclusion on their own, well, that's on them. But if you know that people are misinterpreting what you're offering and you're not correcting it, you are still being held accountable.
Right. Yeah.
But I suspect that this was an intentional move.
So what does the Bible have to say about honesty, Michaela? There was a commandment that was thrown out earlier.
The 9th commandment, and I'm going to pull it up. I'll use the Exodus 20. You shall not
Also, I
bear-
found my ancient. It's called the Kingdom Chums.
Oh, well,
The original top 10. It was published in 1990 when I was 3. So this is
before my time.
And I remember watching the Kingdom Chums on my grandma's TV and singing along to the little top 10 songs. So if you want to blast from the past, check out the Kingdom Chums.
Yeah. So I'm going to just we have the time. This is a shorter episode because it's just Planned Parenthood lied and we're mad about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the time to read Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. And everyone could just sit and listen. I'm reading out of the ESV just because that's like the default what I read out of. Exodus 20. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, and showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery.
Wait. I feel like Planned Parenthood. This is like the section that's talking about Planned Parenthood.
I feel like Exodus 20, verse 13, you shall not murder. That's the whole verse. That's it. That's the whole verse. Verse 14, you shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. Exodus 20, verse 16, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. Those are the 10 commandments. They are pretty straightforward.
They are extremely straightforward. And one of the things that we are not supposed to do is bear false witness, which
We're also not supposed to murder.
We're also not supposed to murder. So they're really, and I feel like adultery is like there's so many. There's a lot in there. There's a lot in there. So I think that we've got to want a couple points here, but the big one that we're talking about is bearing false witness. And there are times where clients have misunderstood our services. We had a client one time, this was years ago, and she scheduled online. She's like, I thought I was going to get an abortion today. And we were like, oh my goodness, like what? Like, did we say something? Did you see something? And she's like, no, I just assumed. I don't know. I just assumed. And so she was really straightforward about the fact that like she didn't read our stuff. She didn't talk to us. She didn't like hear from us or read our website and think that that was what was going to happen. Other than that, we've never had a client come in and think like in years, the decade plus service that I've had here, we've never had a client come in and think she was going to get a service that she wasn't going to get.
Well, and we have, every day, literally every single day, we get messages on the international chat line from women asking if we provide abortions. Can you give me abortion pills? Where can I get abortion pills? And the very first message that they get from us starts with, we do not provide abortions. We do not refer for abortions. Like, we're very honest with them.
Yeah. And we have it on our website. And when someone calls us on the phone, we say, no, we don't do abortions. This is what we do. Like, these are the exact services that we provide.
Yes, and our exact services are listed on our website, and every single service that is listed on our website is a service that we offer.
It's amazing. It's actually it's a pretty decent system, actually.
It's really actually not that complicated. And yeah, we do our best to truthfully advertise what we do and who we are. It doesn't take a lot of work to figure out who we are because we're very transparent about it. And we correct people who, if for whatever reason, come to a different conclusion. And I don't understand why. Well, I can take several good guesses as to why Planned Parenthood chooses not to operate this way.
Well, and the thing is, their services, their model, their history, everything is based on lying, murder. It's based on immorality. Like, it's based on, their foundation is not on anything good. They're not even based on anything neutral.
No.
And so when your entire business model is based on murder and destruction and deception, like, we shouldn't, I mean, we're not shocked, but like, nobody should be shocked to find out that they're not entirely honest and upfront on their website.
Yeah. So,
and if they had watched Kingdom Chums when they were 5 years old in their grandma's living room, maybe we wouldn't be in this position.
Well, and I think, I mean, I know for the Jesus moment, I read the 10 Commandments, but I think it's a really good reminder that those are actually things that, they're not just songs that we sing, like they're actual commandments that we are called to keep. And there's only 10 of them. You would think that we would be able to handle it.
We cannot.
They're not.
We 100% cannot.
Like, they're not anything earth shattering, They're like, don't kill other people, don't tell lies. And yet every day we struggle. And I mean, it's a good reminder for us as well, just to, like, you don't have to be outright telling a lie to be violating the commandment that talks about bearing false witness against your neighbor. And so, I mean, it's a good reminder to self-examine and make sure that, like, what I'm saying is true, and that I'm speaking truth, and that I'm thinking truth, because we know that sins committed in the heart are just the same.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone read the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20.
Just rewind and play it again. And if you want, you can watch Kingdom Chums. It's on YouTube.
And you can watch Kingdom Chums on YouTube. And if you are someone who just found out they are pregnant, and this is the first, second, third, fifth, 10th time that you're pregnant.
I thought you were going to say first, second, third, fifth trimester. And I was going to be like, no, there is no fifth trimester.
However many times, like, whatever number of pregnancy this is for you, if you are in need of people to talk to, if you need an ultrasound, if you need a pregnancy test, please contact your local pregnancy center, and they would be more than happy to help. If they're medical, they would be more than happy to help offer those services to you, or they would be able to point you in the direction of where you can get those services from a life-affirming resource that is not going to pressure you for an abortion or have abortion as the second option behind gender-affirming care
on their touch-tone keypad,
on their robocall when you call them.
Yeah. So yeah, call your local pregnancy center. If you're not pregnant, give them some money. If you are pregnant, get an ultrasound, and don't go to Planned Parenthood, and make sure that your friends and family understand that Planned Parenthood is not the shining paragon of virtue that some would have us believe.
No.
And we will see you next week.
Bye.